Well, hello YouTube. Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. And yes, I have my lighting, I have my fan, and how you doing in YouTube land? I never get tired of that, I'm serious. Well, everybody in YouTube land, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the official Llewellyn's 2025 Tarot Calendar video for November 2025. As always, I'm going to pretend to instill and channel some of the talents and abilities of Vanna White and show you the front cover. And I'm going to make sure that Drake, who's more commonly known as my awesome audio-visual person for my YouTube videos, shows you the front cover. And then I'm going to do a flip and show you the back cover. I think I am channeling my inner Vanna White. A photograph of the spread will show on the screen, but I'm going to show you live. Well, recorded, but you know what I mean. So the focus is the Three of Trees from the Witch Sister Tarot. I must admit, this is another tarot deck that I keep going back and forth. I've already seen what happens when I keep going back and forth to a deck. Like, I like it, I don't like it. Back and forth, back and forth. I eventually buy it. So me saying that I keep going back and forth with regards to this deck just means that it's only a matter of time before I own a copy of this deck. Now, Three of Trees is interesting because reading the description, it tells me that the trees is the renaming of the wands. And you know, just an FYI, I personally don't have an issue with that. In fact, I actually get a kick out of seeing tarot cards and tarot suits renamed. I really get a kick out of that. I've always enjoyed that. I love a twist on... was that Durga? Or was that Sekhmet? You don't know. It's one of those mysteries, everybody in YouTube land. But yes, that was one of my cats. I have an idea it was one of my feline familiars, but I cannot tell from this angle. Anyway, I've always enjoyed when tarot creators do a twist on either the traditional names of the major arcana, the names of the suits, etc. So we have the Three of Trees, which is more commonly known as the Three of Wands, from the Witch Sister Tarot. 3 is the number of manifestation. By the way, in playing card divination, 7 is considered the number of manifestation, but I digress. And in the suit of Wands, that is an invitation to transform our abstract desires we wish for someday into a genuine living reality. Let the adventure begin. So, one of the symbols being discussed is the squirrel, which is prominently in the upper left corner of the card. And then we have self-care for the modern diviner and recharge yourself. I do not mind telling you that I am a huge advocate for self-care. I am a huge advocate for recharging one's energetic batteries. And I very much look forward to not only reading these articles to you in YouTube land, but also practicing them, assuming I don't already practice what's being discussed in these blurbs. But yeah, I remember during the pandemic, self-care Sundays were referred to as self-care Sundays, which I thought was the most insipid thing. And I still think it's one of the most insipid things because as far as I'm concerned, self-care is an everyday thing. Gratitude is an everyday thing. Self-care, gratitude, praise, all of these things are daily practices. I have never understood why some people felt that self-care was only for one day of the week. I still remember the late and great Richard Simmons had been interviewed on a daytime talk show, and he mentioned, just in passing, that he exercises every day. And the interviewer was like, "You exercise every day?" And he said, "Yes. After all, I eat every day, so I'm going to exercise every day." I want to tell you something. That made a lot of sense. Even to me, that made a lot of sense. So, yeah, I think that if you are somebody who, like yours truly, is introverted and deals with people because one needs to deal with people from time to time, you know, people can be draining. You know, it's even now, even though that COVID-19 is not a pandemic, I still do not leave my apartment unless it is absolutely necessary. If I do not need to be out there, I stay here. But again, I digress. So we have the squirrel. Animals point to opportunities for us to release our human complexity and return to a primal state. Here the squirrels embody a curiosity and focus on basic needs that are refreshing for an overburdened human mind. Let's face it. If you have a smartphone, and if you live with other people, and if you work for other people, and if you live in a city, and if you work in retail or with the public, and or if you have an internet connection, you pretty much automatically have an overburdened mind. Which is one of the reasons why I periodically advocate for engaging in sacred solitude. Literally unplugging, or rather turning off the phone, turning off the computer, and remaining in that unplugged state for a bare minimum of 10 minutes. And squirrels are very interesting to me. I know very little about squirrels, symbologically and otherwise, but one of the things that I've learned over the years is to really get a better grasp of the symbolism of an animal is to learn about them zoologically and biologically. Learn if they are more diurnal, meaning more active during the daytime, or more nocturnal, more active at night. Learn about their mating habits, their mating seasons. Learn about how they protect their fellow animals. Every animal group has a different name, from a pride of lions to a murder of crows and a murder of ravens, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I really feel that learning about animals zoologically also helps one connect more deeply to the symbolism of that animal. And then we have self-care for the modern diviner. It is common for tarot readers at every level of experience to feel burnout sometimes. Some of you may recall that a few years ago I felt burnout. I actually experienced burnout, and I did not even realize it until a few months before I said, you know what, I'm taking the entire month off. I am not making myself available for any event, for any client, for anything, because I need to rectify this burnout. And it helped. Our readings may feel muddled. We are listless and bored with our books and decks. We don't have any topics to explore, and we might even dread the moment when someone asks us for a reading. Do not despair. Perhaps you just need to set the cards aside for a period. For example, a waning moon cycle, when the moon is going from full to new. If you would rather pardon me. Clearly my higher self has opinions about that. For the record, I've discovered after the age of 40, my energy level and my intuition are higher and sharper respectively during a waning moon cycle. But I digress. If you would rather revitalize your practice actively, consider a back-to-basics approach. Begin reading with a new deck, or one you have kept on the back burner for a while so that you will have less familiarity with each card. Start reading a new Tarot 101 book, or return to one from earlier in your practice. These approaches can help bring a freshness and vitality to your relationship with the cards. You might wish to explore a style of reading that is unfamiliar to you, switching from a predictive mode to a psychological or self-help mode, and vice versa. A clean slate and beginner mindset can help bring us out of our comfort zone, make us hungry for more, and ease the sensation of burnout. And I'm also going to recommend a few things as well. So, first of all, I completely agree with Charles Harrington about taking a break. And for some people, for some of you in YouTube land, It may be during a waning moon cycle, meaning going from a full moon to a new moon. For some of you, it may be going from a new moon to a full moon. Because remember, a new moon traditionally is associated with new beginnings. So if you are engaging in this new beginning of doing a pause on working with the cards, in this case tarot, then why not start on a new moon? Why not be, in fact, you could even do it for a full moon, from one new moon to the next, or if you prefer, from one new moon to the following dark moon, the night before the following new moon. And just spend that time pursuing other things. You may want to, let's say for the sake of argument, you may want to pursue something that is completely not at all metaphysical, magical, and mystical. Let's say that you want to learn more about another culture. You know, I'm of Cuban origin, but there are other cultures that I have always found fascinating. Lately, I've been finding myself more drawn to learning more about Peruvian culture, more interested in learning more about Bolivian culture, more interested in learning about Mayan and Aztec culture. And I'm also finding myself more drawn to get a deeper understanding of Brazilian culture. So there are different things that you can explore. And you may just need to take up a hobby that has nothing to do with the tarot. You know, maybe crocheting, maybe knitting, maybe scrapbooking. You know, scrapbooking and junk journaling has become such a popular activity. I mean, I'm constantly seeing things online and off about junk journals and scrapbooking and things like that. So it could be something totally different for you. And, you know, for some of you who feel you can handle working with the metaphysical, the magical, or the mystical, maybe consider exploring a different system of divination. Lately, I have been experiencing this renaissance with the runes, and I'm finding myself connecting to the runes in a way that I've never had before, and finding runes fascinating after not having found them fascinating in a long time. And I'm also finding myself wanting to combine runes, or rather rune casting, with card reading, which I'm finding really fascinating, because the more that I reconnect with the runes and their traditional interpretations, as well as the energies, if you will, or the deities, if you prefer, that are connected with the runes. For example, Freya has a connection to Fehu. That's the one that looks like the F that symbolizes cattle, and is a symbol, or rather a rune of wealth and opulence and abundance. And then you have Tewaz, which is the spear-shaped rune, which, not surprisingly, is connected to Tyr, one of the warrior gods of the Norse pantheon. So I'm finding myself connecting with the runes in a way that I've never connected with them before, and I'm finding it fascinating. So I cannot help but notice that there's a part of my intuitive mind that wants to combine tarot with runes, combine oracle cards with runes, combine gypsy cards with runes. And I'm also exploring divination with dominoes and with mahjong. So I'm really finding that very intriguing. So there are so many different things you can do. And of course, you know, it may just be that you just decide to take a full break. Maybe you need more than a waning moon cycle. Maybe you need more than that 2 to 2.5 weeks. Maybe you just need a complete break for, say, 3 months. It's going to be different for every one of you. But whatever it looks like for you and however long it takes, absolutely know that you are not only worthy of that, but give yourselves permission to do that. Give yourselves permission to allow yourself to acknowledge if you're feeling burnout and how you're dealing with it, and also learning from it. You know, one of the things that I did not consciously realize was that I was making myself more available for events and for clients than I wanted to. And I wanted to have that balance of, I'm not doing this because I'm not interested in doing that, Or I don't want to meet with this client right now because I want to watch this movie that I have not been able to watch for the last 3 months, even though it's on my hard drive. So it's one of those things that's like, honor what's really authentically real for you. Honor what your real feelings in the matter are. And I cannot overstate that. I really cannot. And now I'm at a point where I really do not want to do anything. I don't want to make myself available for a client if I really don't want to. And if I'm not interested in rearranging my schedule to be a part of an event that is not going to work for my schedule and just going to create more unholy madness and unnecessary chaos, then I'm not going to do it. And it really is liberating for me. And of course, there are extenuating circumstances. I mean, now, my life partner is doing better financially. So there's less of a mental burden for me to feel that I have to make myself available for this opportunity, for this market, for this client, for this situation. So I'm thankful for that. I'm so very thankful for that. So, but again, I just wanted to give you some additional insights into this particular blurb. And now, recharge yourself. I think this is a topic that is not discussed enough, especially with anybody who offers readings, whether it's tarot, oracle cards, Lenormand, etc., whether or not they do it professionally. But this is definitely something that is so very beyond essential in normalizing as a conversational topic in the metaphysical world. Divination can be a demanding, energetic practice, and we might feel drained after an intense series of readings. One approach to recharging your batteries is to focus on breath and body. When feeling depleted, step outside and take deep, steady breaths of fresh air. Focus your attention on the air entering and leaving your lungs, and let everything else float away. Next, give your body the nourishment it needs, including healthy food, massages, or other body work, and a nice long rest. For a powerful, grounding experience, travel to a place where you can be alone in nature and take time to connect to the deep energies of the minerals, plants, and animals there. Now, I'm also going to add some things about this because, as I readjust myself, because this is something that I have found that is as natural to me as breathing. So, for a brief period of time, I noticed that if I did readings at a public venue on the night of or the night before a new moon, a full moon, a dark moon, a bright moon, a solstice, an equinox, or a cross-quarter holy day, I would be massively drained. And then there came a time when I noticed that the more readings I did, the more energized I became. Recently, some of you may recall, I had the honor and pleasure of being one of the readers at Modern Druid during the 4th annual Spirit of Sobro in Nyack, New York. And one of the co-owners was like, "You must be exhausted." And I said to him, "Actually, I'll be shocked if I fall asleep before 4 in the morning." And fun fact, I actually did not go to sleep until sometime between 4:30 and 5 a.m. the following morning. And I was doing readings up until around 10:30 p.m. that night, even though the festival officially ended at 9 p.m. So let me just tell you, that is what I have found. And I knew that I was not going to be back in Nyack until next year. So I purposely stayed until the following Monday. I arrived the Thursday before, I left the following Monday, and I just basically spent the entire day in the hotel room, taking naps, lounging in bed, reading books, watching YouTube, watching other things on different streaming services like HBO or Hulu or Paramount or whatever was available in the hotel room. And I was just fully decompressing. And that is something that I do very naturally when I'm at a moon, serpent, and bone night market, which are always on Friday nights. Following day, I usually return home. Sometimes I don't, depends. But usually the following day I return home. And as soon as I come home, greet the cats, make sure they have enough food, take off my shoes, not necessarily all in that order, and then I go to my bed and take a nice long nap. And that is how I recharge. And then the following day, which is a Sunday, I will meet with one client maximum for a private reading or a private goddess energy healing treatment. So that's what works for me. And then, of course, I've noticed that there are certain things that I find myself eating that I don't normally eat. You know, I happen to like pasta. I used to love pasta. I don't love it as much as I once did. I like it. It's something that I do enjoy eating from time to time, but it is not something that is like I must eat pasta every day. I have nothing against pasta. It's not one of my things anymore. It's not like, you know, bread or ice cream or cookies where it's like I can love it forever. Or coffee. But every once in a while, I will have something that's a pasta dish from a restaurant. And, you know, there was a time when I had some very sensitive stomach issues because of some of the medications I was taking at the time. And I remember I had conducted maybe, I think it was like 5 or 6 readings in a row. And normally that is something that I would eat once I was done with meeting with clients for the day. Because pasta is one of those things that I find to be heavy. And I do not like eating anything heavy before meeting with clients. I just don't. It's something that works very well for me. Usually, I eat nothing. Sometimes the only thing that I'll eat is maybe a cup of soup, or more often than not, a pastry. So it's one of those, and of course coffee. So it's one of those things where I like to have as empty a stomach as possible prior to meeting with clients. But I will say that sometimes I find myself eating things that I do not normally eat after I meet with clients, because it's my body's way of saying, okay, this may not be the healthiest thing for me to eat. This may be something that my doctors would be like, why are you eating that, Mr. Alvarez? But it is something that my body, and more importantly, the spirits are like, okay, Mr. Alvarez, you're eating this because you've expended that much energy. So absolutely honor your process. Whether or not you do readings professionally, whatever your process is, absolutely honor that. The spending time in nature, I don't do that enough. And I am the first one to acknowledge that. I do not do that enough. And the irony is that I'll probably spend more time in nature the colder that it gets. Because, you know, there won't be as many people around. And I'll be like, you know, just chilling in the cold. Because that would be me, with a book. You know? And so I absolutely cannot overemphasize to all of you in YouTube land, please give yourselves permission and know that you are worthy of honoring your process and whatever that process is with regards to recharging your energetic batteries. Okay. So once again, I want to thank Llewellyn Publications for continuing to publish their annual tarot calendars. As I have said on numerous occasions, Llewellyn Publications, Llewellyn Books has annuals, products that are published every year annually for spells, for witches, for sun sign astrology, moon sign astrology, for artwork of dragons, of mythical cats, calendars and annuals on herbology, on essential oils, on aromatherapy. But this is their one and only tarot-themed annual. And as a result, I cannot over-recommend that all of you in YouTube land buy the calendars. Give them as gifts. Give them to people who you know love the tarot, or are learning the tarot, or want to relearn the tarot, or are in lust with the tarot, like yours truly, or are wanting to to alleviate their burnout. So this is a great resource to help them alleviate their burnout with regards to the tarot. So I mean, I cannot be enough of a public service announcement, or PSA for short, for Llewellyn's tarot calendars. But I will tell you, I am forever thankful that they continue to publish these calendars. And I'm also going to say to all of you in YouTube land, I would love to see somebody else besides one other YouTuber and yours truly doing a video on one of these calendars. Because after several years of asking all of you to let me know in the comments if you've done a video about these calendars, none of you did. And I was like, how come nobody told me? And then I was like, you know what? Let me look on YouTube. Let me do a search on YouTube and see who's been doing calendars. And guess who else showed up? One other person. And guess who the other person was? So I'm like, you mean nobody else is doing calendars on YouTube videos on Llewellyn's calendars? On Llewellyn's tarot? I mean, I'm still a bit surprised because y'all do, so many of you do like decks and books and this and that. Hi, Durga, look at this cuteness. I know that Drake, who's more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos, is absolutely doing a close-up of this kitty cuteness, right? Right. Look at this. Look at this cuteness. Yes, I know. Isn't she gorgeous? She's my oldest cat now. And yes, I do feed her. She's always been skinny. Like, she's so skinny. I still love her, though. No hating on the skinny bitches. That's part of my public service announcement, too. Isn't that right, Durga? See? Now she wants to be seen, but not heard. Okay. Have it your way. Yeah. Because of course you do. So yes, please, 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 give yourself permissions to give yourselves this calendar, give this calendar to somebody else. And if you do not want to buy it online, you can absolutely buy it in person. By all means, tell your bookstores that you want to buy this calendar. I promise you, they will honor that request. And if they don't honor that request, you're going to be like, huh? I want to buy this calendar. If you want, charge me ahead of time and I'll pay for it. And just, whatever. I'm telling you. So yeah. So thank you, Llewellyn, for continuing to publish your annual tarot calendar. Thank you to everybody who buys the calendar, who talks about the calendar, who gives the calendar as gifts, even if it's to yourselves. And thank you to all of you in YouTube land for all the likes, comments, shares, and subscriptions to my YouTube channel, and an extra big and beautiful thank you to those of you who have already scheduled your sessions. And as always, stay in tune with your intuition, stay safe, stay well, stay cute, super cute like this cute little kitty, and stay tuned for the next video. Isn't that right, Durga? Yes, you're so happy right